everybody's well aware, right? As we continue in this wave of digital disruption, it has become more critical than ever for us to find the tools that enable our teams to deliver results from anywhere and at any time, as well as having them feel engaged and enabled and being able to actually be part of the team, the overall culture, and empowering them with tools to get work done, right? And that is really the focus that we've had when we look at what's happened over the last almost 2 years here around digital disruption is how do we enable, how do we empower, and how do we engage our teammates? So knowing this, and frankly, going through this disruption ourselves, we've worked with our customers, partners, and analysts to better understand how this disruption has impacted our customers, our partners, and frankly, what is top of mind for all of those leaders. So we're going to give you some insights into what we're hearing from all of that, the market, and getting to understand better how we're making adjustments internally to actually achieve that. So Andrew, why don't you share a bit of some of the data that we've seen and that we've aggregated, and then we can talk a little bit more about how we've actually made some adjustments internally.
Absolutely. And it's great. It's great to be here. And doesn't it feel great standing up here?
I know.
Right? No ship or anything, but it feels good. So, one of the things we talked about Digital Week, we brought analysts to you, and we continually monitor to hear what the analyst community are actually saying and what they're finding out by surveying customers such as yourselves out there in the market. So we have 2 surveys to share with you today. The first one is a KPMG survey that was done out to CEOs to better understand what their thinking is, and also what are they learning in this COVID period. So organizations, as a result of sheer necessity, all of us, right? We have to make decisions faster. We have to collaborate in more innovative and better ways. And we're always looking for technologies to enable that engagement, as Richard was saying. And actually protect the way that organizations collaborate across their various communities and eventually silos. And as we know, the success of remote work has been completely reimagined over this period of time. So what did the data actually say? It actually said 80% of the CEO survey, they believe that the pandemic has accelerated their digital transformation. That's amazing. And additionally, 30%, which I thought was really intriguing, was that their progress has put them years ahead of where they are expected to be right now. It's almost like it created the catalyst to do it.
And we've been living that ourselves, right?
Yes.
I mean, we've been right in the throes of that, as many of you have, I'm sure, as well.
Yeah. So the second part, the second piece of data, which I thought was intriguing, we wanted to provide to you today, is that 73% say that working remotely has widened the potential talent pool and provides an advantage of hiring new talent, right? We'd often thought about collaboration capabilities as ways that you onboard people. Well, now it's more than just onboarding people. It's about, making sure they become productive and effective in a very remote sense of remote context. And people have actually invested more effort in education materials. And I know we're going to talk a little bit more about that later.
Very true.
Yeah. And then lastly, the 77%, continue to invest in collaboration tools to improve employee engagement. I mean, that shouldn't be a surprise. So employee engagement and collaboration has really taken on a new sense of urgency as we attempt to tool up and empower teams for the future. But I don't think people were thinking that it was going to be quite like this. I think people are more educated about the technologies and the ways they collaborate now, right?
Yeah, I agree, by the way. And I think that we're also at a point where it's a bit of the myth buster, right? So a lot of people did not think that you could be productive at home. We're frankly finding that people are continuing to be productive, but we're also in a mode here at HCL where we're giving our employees a choice. You can come in and work in the office, you can stay at home, or you can actually do a hybrid role as well, right? And a lot of that has to do with, again, some more of the data that we're going to share here around how digital workplace has become mission critical.
Right.
And you want to cover the first one on the work survey?
And, right, we're on the next slide. So we're seeing the data that clearly indicates executive thinking about the importance of the digital workplace. And when I mean that, it's not only the video meeting capability and the communities, but it's a broad spectrum of capabilities to just get people engaged and on board with those systems. But unfortunately, the implementation lags for many companies, right? So for organizations, in some cases, it's very much a work in progress.
Yeah, and I think, and on that note, Andrew, as you can see here, right, 29% of these companies don't feel as if they're where they need to be, right, from a maturity perspective. I think that what they're really looking for, and you're seeing here, is there's a lot of opportunity. You really look at only a third of those executives feel like the digital workplace status within their organization is mature in some way. And the real question that Andrew and I have talked about when we've seen this data is, well, what does mature really mean, right? Let's be fair. And so I think what we're seeing is that products like Connections are becoming more and more relevant than they ever have before. And a lot of that has to do with the materials that we're going to cover over the next couple slides. But if you also look at the broader digital strategy for many of these customers, 39% of those execs feel that they have digital workplace strategy programs in place today. So really, you're looking at 60% of that customer base has really not defined what that strategy is, right? And when Andrew and I have looked at the broader digital transformation market, we've seen really a digital disruption wave that we're in right now, and where we believe in the very, very near future, it's going to become a digital first market. And when that happens, then you'll start to see a lot more of these customers are going to be required to actually have that strategy in place. Right?
Yeah, on that point, I was just thinking about those innovators, as we talk about, those digital first, where it just becomes part of their reflexes. It's just what they do. I was actually surprised that 77% is so low.
Yeah, right? You and me both, by the way. I would have thought it would have been higher. So I don't see how digital transformation could not be top of mind right now for every CIO.
Yeah, I would also maybe speculate, Rich. We talked about, as we've gone talking to other innovative leaders. The first thing they've done in a lot of cases is done the thing from a digital perspective to protect their business, right? Protect their business model and bring it more forth into a digital world. But maybe for certain companies, maybe they're lagging behind in the way they engage with their employees, right?
Well, let's talk about that, actually. Thanks for teeing that up. So one of the things is we've been going through our, again, the due diligence, the analysis that we're taking around the investments we're making, where do we actually need to focus from a portfolio perspective. And we've been consulting with various analysts, and Wayne Kurtzman is one of them from IDC. Many of you probably know him. He actually leads the collaboration and social media research for them. So he's a great benchmark for us, and we're staying very connected with Wayne. And one of the takeaways that I know Andrew and I have had from a discussion we had with Wayne was really those 3 words there, and the importance of engaging your employees, empowering those employees, and really how do I enable them, right? And in those discussions with IDC, the things that we heard were almost kind of like things that we knew, but they were really reaffirming them. And the first one was the importance around transparency, trust, and having open communication with their employees. Well, when I think about that, in our portfolio, the first product I frankly think of is Connections, right? How do I drive that transparency? How do I enable those communications in a more modern way? And then how do we continue to ensure that those employees trust us in what we're doing? The other aspect that we found from our discussions with Wayne and others has been the availability of frictionless, collaborative work environments with digital experiences embedded in our overall workflow, right? And I know that's a lot there, but if you piece that out and you take those little pieces out of there, the real key aspects of those, again, is how do I engage, how do I empower, and how do I enable all of those employees, right? And the need to be able to engage with these employees is really, really important, right? And I can say confidently that I believe that I belong and I matter to this organization. And that is something that we are driving with our organization from a culture and teaming perspective, right? And that has become more and more relevant than ever. And when you think about how you want to empower your employees, right? And to be able to give them digital workplaces to quickly come together, collaborate in a timely fashion, be creative, capture all of those ideas, and then follow through on them, that is another critical aspect, and the need to be accessible anywhere and anytime and provide that environment for our employees to be able to flourish with the knowledge that they're able to discover. And then when we think about the needs around enabling your employees, this is key about content, resources, information, and ensuring, for one of the things that we've talked a lot about, is relevant, timely content. Content that makes your employees more knowledgeable, feel more part of the organization, and frankly, give them a charter and have the clear direction that they need to be successful. And whether you are a new company or in a new role, all of this is incredibly important. And we've also identified that providing self-service access to this information is really critical for people to find what they need, when they need it, and how for them to actually get their work done, right? And getting that work done is really, really key for us. So these are the three things that you're going to hear from us on a regular basis. And we leverage this internally, by the way, when we communicate with our employees around those three E's. How are we engaging you and making you feel part of the culture and the team? How are we continuing to empower you to get work done more seamless than ever in a hybrid model that we are in today? And then overall, how are we enabling all of us to stay on track to our mission and driving the results that all of you, our partners and customers, expect from us? So with that, why don't, Andrew, you give these folks a little bit of insight into what we've done with Connections, the work that's happened there, and some of the results that we've seen.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to follow the same, engage, empower, and enable format that you just heard from Richard here. So I'm thrilled that, we're not only drinking our own champagne here, but, we're actually yielding great results from an engagement perspective. And it's something that we measure, right? We walk the talk here. So we have this environment called HCL Connect. It's our own internal deployment of connections with Engagement Center here. And this is how we bring all of the threads together into the flow of work. This is our single point of contact. So if you have an HR matter, there's all of the quick links that you need. And, as an employee, you're going to belong to a certain number of communities. For instance, you belong to a sales community. Maybe you belong to a support community, right? And then your team collaborate and you have a forum for conversation. But there's communities that you have a relationship with. Say, for instance, we have a sales community and the product managers are actively engaged in that. But the product management community, we exist there to help answer the questions and provide relevant information to what's going on. And this is a single dashboard, right?
Exactly. And I think most of you will probably recognize this. We have spent quite a bit of time on first and foremost, keeping it very clean, keeping it very simple, as you can see there. But at the same time, back to the point I was making earlier, is also updating it with relevant content on a regular basis. And that can include many different things, from goals to roadmaps to just simple blogs from leadership on what's top of mind. For us, this has been a great location to send everyone, right? I would say that we have been a very email-driven organization where we would send out a lot of our communications via email. We're still doing that, but what we're doing much more of now is pushing our employees back to the site. It's relevant, it's consistent, and again, for us, it's very clean and simple.
Yeah, and what I also like about it, Richard, is it's a piece of best practice that's out there in the open, right? So there's other teams like Joe Rubino's security team, the Big Fix team are now coming to us and saying, this is a great best practice. How do I get my community? I like it. How do I get it ramped up?
It's a fantastic point. So we're, I think that's a great one on, we have our security organization across HCL software is leveraging this product. Our sales organization is leveraging it as well. Our customer success organization is. So the way we wanted to approach it was we wanted to actually have it where it was first controlled in a way, but then it was actually leveraged and expanded much more where we can go through this. So let me talk a little bit about how we're engaging and leveraging this. Now, what you're seeing here is one of the things we've actually done is we've set up an About Us area within that single page, right? And what does that mean? One of the things we're doing is we want to talk about our employees, right? So now what you're seeing us do is we have a little write-up that you're seeing here as an example. I think it's Tanya that was there that you're looking at right now. That is actually a new employee of ours who started on the UX organization. It gives you a little bit of sense of who Tanya is. And you can also see people have been putting comments in, introducing Tanya, welcoming Tanya to the organization, right? And for us, what we wanted to do was really focus on who we are and about us, right? And give people a sense of, again, being part of a culture, a community, and understanding those core values of how we actually work. Now, that's just one example of how we're actually engaging our team. Now, the other one I want to talk about is more around empowerment, right? And so one of the things that we've done, and funny enough, one of the contents that are the most relevant and looked at the most and liked the most is from Andrew, actually. So Andrew has our 22 roadmap out there. Again, giving people the latest update of what our roadmap is, what our mission is. They can go and see it anytime. If they have questions from, to their managers or to a customer, they know what that roadmap is. And by the way, it's updated on a regular basis. It's not sent around an email. It's not lost in, that black hole that exists at times. And for us, that's a big aspect of it. The other one that we've done around empowering is establishing our goals. So we've put our goals that we have from a portfolio perspective down to the product perspective and actually how we're measuring ourselves, right? So not only do people be able to see, here's my goal as an individual and here's our goals as an organization, but within that also is, all right, well, as an example, what is our NPS and CSAT for that product and our goals for that? Now we're all aligned and understand our CSAT and NPS are this target. So we're all rallying around that single mission. And again, allowing us to stay true to a couple key things that we talked about at the beginning that we heard from Wayne, right? Which is all about trust, transparency, and bringing people together, right? And those three things, this is just another good example of that.
Yeah, I'm just thinking on that point, actually, Richard, what you're saying, one of the favorite expressions I love and I use quite often, with my team is, it's all about gaining clarity and then you take action. Without clarity, you have no action, right? And to the point you mentioned, which is every single product team and the sales team have clarity on, what we're doing as an organization, where we're going with the product, and what's really key and important for them to do their job. And if they need resources or people to help them with that, there it is. As well as, one of the other interesting things that you were saying, Richard, is the fact that, the most visited site is the About Me site, which basically says is people are curious and they want to connect as human beings.
You bet. Yeah. Excellent. Here, do you want to take the enable one?
Yeah, sure. Enable. Another example of this, and I sort of hinted at it, was really about the fact that we have all of our sellers from a product specialist standpoint. So as Francois Nasser's team, we also have the TA team led by Luis Guillergue, who has access to this, as well as David Nee, who runs our DX TA team as well. So we actually have hundreds of sellers every single day accessing marketing material. They access the roadmap, right? They have questions, right? We have a forum and all of it's there and it's actually searchable. I'm sure we've all tried handling that forum type thing in other contexts, but it becomes very difficult to find the answer with search, and it becomes very difficult to find that asset if you're not using connections.
And something that's maintained, by the way, that is not out of date, right? So sales is one area, right? But we also, with Luis's team and others, we also have our HCL Tech community as well. The university content is internal as well. So our employees can get access to the training that they need. They can get access to the demos and content that they need as well. So we really are looking at this HCL Connect as this is our place where if you want to communicate and enable, engage, and empower our employees, this is how we're going to actually go about doing it.
Yeah, and as you were saying, the fun fact is, I think Luis's community with all that university content is something like the 3rd highest out of all of the pieces of content, number 1 being about us. So that's very interesting. So why don't we sort of move the conversation on and sort of bring it home, right, Richard, at this point. So we really wanted to recognize, one thing that's really been important. So some of you are familiar with Jim Lundy. He heads up an organization he founded called Aragon Research Group. He recently published this 2021 Aragon Research Globe, really talking about communities, right? I mean, he really honed in on the definition of what it meant to provide community type technology, which is, it's the language that we speak, it's everything that we talk about, from a connection standpoint. So we were recently recognized as and named a leader in communities in their 2021 research. So, they recognized our sizable install base, our market leading efforts in developing communities as a centerpiece to facilitating employee collaboration. So, 3 quick highlights. Our market leading efforts in developing communities as a centerpiece to facilitate collaboration, I mentioned. Enabling a digital work hub for the entire organization, supporting all sorts of sizes of communities, and we've given you an example of what we're doing internally, and meeting the demands of the remote work environment to accelerate employee engagement, right, and to get work done. Right, and you've heard some of from the data from Richard and I. So from the beginning, when Connections was conceived, it's really delivered a fundamental framework for communities to help teams get work done, right?
Get work done.
Yeah, so, and keep it in the flow of work. And that's the thing I like about using HCL Connect is we've designed it for our flow of work, right? You don't have to go to these different places. So our digital work hub is flexible and can support small organizations, even to the largest organizations. And Aragon noted these strengths in their comments, right? So, it's proven to accelerate employee engagement. And I'm sure you're going to talk a lot more about that as we previously discussed. And then also, combining it with the capabilities of Hadoop Activities Plus for task management, deliver a winning combination. So some of the other strengths that we heard was global presence and install base, strong content management capabilities, and obviously great mobile capabilities as such. So, very excited about this. I think we've made it available. So, I'm sure Adam and Renee will talk about it, where you can gain access to the support. Please use it as much as you like to share and advocate for it. But Richard, why don't you pivot into, what our call to action is for you?
Yeah, so thank you, by the way, and incredibly excited that Aragon actually recognized us as a leader. That for us, I think that's another great data point of the investments we've been making, the progress we've been making there. But again, I think it also identifies the importance of, again, enabling and empowering and engaging your employees has become more critical than ever. So what's our takeaway or our ask here, right? So we are seeing in our data, in our downloads, that version 7 is being adopted and upgraded on a really good, consistent basis. We're seeing the numbers, really start to ratchet up. So our ask to all of you is, let's first and foremost take the opportunity to get to version 7, right? And there are some fantastic features in version 7, the Teams integration being one of them, right? And it'll actually allow you as well to have a much more seamless upgrade when we deliver version 8, right? Which will include a lot of the user experience and UI work that many of you have been asking for. The other thing is spend some time and deploy the component pack. We found that it's actually helped for personalization, simplifies customizations, and actually reduces the upgrade time. So it is in your value of actually going about that effort. The last item is, and you're seeing us use Engagement Center, right? So I would recommend, and I know that the team on the ground would actually recommend as well, of try Engagement Center. It's an effective internet landing page that'll help you keep your teams connected. We're leveraging it internally, and we believe that this is something that many of our customers could take advantage of as well. So with that, I think we're going to wrap up on this note. Again, Juanis, Maria, to the Let's Connect community and the broader team, thank you again for the opportunity to speak with all of you. We're excited about what we're doing with connections internally. And frankly, I think we're even more excited about the value that we're seeing out of it and the results that we're seeing out of it as well. So again, we're looking forward to the rest of the sessions. And as always, it's nice to see all of you again.